It rained hard last night, unexpectedly. We didn't expect it to rain overnight, but it rained from about 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. And when I said it rained, I mean it rained. It wasn't a little sprinkle. It was just downpouring. For our first night in this new Aryali Rincon 2-person tent, it actually did pretty well. Most of our stuff is dry, even though some of our stuff weren't even fully covered. So pretty happy with this tent. And I haven't even seam sealed it yet. So considering the fact that it's not seam sealed, it's done pretty well. In terms of hunting, we don't have any birds roosted because last night we did not go out to roost birds for the evening. But we do know of some birds and the general area they're in just based off of when Steve and I were up high on the mountain, like around 4 p.m. yesterday. And so, turkeys, they are land birds, and land birds do not like being wet. And it rained hard, so they might be quiet. I don't know. All I know is I hope the sun comes out and they show out in the open to dry themselves and let us look at them.
Puffy, this feels like we're in nothing.
My favorite part about being skinny is when I walk on snow, I don't sink.
It's not fair. I'm sweating, but I'm definitely not cold anymore.
Oh, he's going off.
He's like level with us straight down this ridge. He's maybe like, what, 300 yards?
Yeah.
If even.
Yeah. I saw turkey trucks on this road. Wonder if it's him. There's one up there.
That's the one we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
That guy's going off.
Dude. Maybe. It's hard to tell. They sound a little different.
We're walking on this main road, and this main road is covered in like a foot of snow. No turkey track, so we know the turkeys aren't using this main road. All up behind me over here is more dry, not dry, but snowless areas. We have a tom gobbling this way, and another one straight up the valley. This guy gobbling up here, I'm pretty sure it's the flock that we saw yesterday before we shot Steve's bird. This guy over here could be the guy that was going off like crazy yesterday. All these birds are still in the trees. They're gonna pitch down any moment. But this guy over here just stopped, so he might be on the ground already. This was that gobbler that we heard to our left when we were about half a mile down. We walked past him, we kind of just forgot about him, and then we came here. I took off my jacket and he gobbled. So we climbed up, he's on the ridge across. He seems semi-interested. A lot of times when you get a gobbler that responds half and half like this, it usually means they're with hens. where he doesn't really feel the need to want you, and he kind of wants you to go to him. But we're gonna set up. I threw my decoy right behind the camera. We're just gonna set up. Never get tunnel visioned on the one that's gobbling. There could be other silent toms, just like the one yesterday that come in. We are right around that daytime, or that morning time, where birds are on the ground, and they gobble a little bit, they get your hopes up, and then they go silent on you. Believe it or not, this is actually pretty common. I'm pretty sure that that bird that we are setting up on has hens. With how he's been responding, semi-interested, semi-not interested, I'm pretty sure he has some ladies with him. The other thing too is just because he has ladies with him doesn't necessarily mean that he's never going to come in. He might eventually come in, who knows. But it's the idea that when turkeys are on the roost, they're just talking. They fly down, they talk a little bit, he gives off his location, so that surrounding hens that don't have a tom can go to him. Kind of like what he's wanting us to do, but we're not because we're stubborn. But the more important thing right now is he's quiet because I'm pretty sure he's breeding hens. And so this is why I consider the morning lull, where like it's super vocal and your hopes are high, and then it's just like out of nowhere, it's like a light switch and everything just shuts down. So I'm pretty sure that tom is breeding hens. Those hens might stick with him all day. If they do, he's going to be tricky to call in. But if the hens eventually leave him to go nest, he might come in eventually. We don't know. You never know what bird you're getting. You kind of just have to guess what he's doing. That's what happens, and it's a very common thing. And a lot of people who are new to turkey hunting, they're like, wow, this turkey was hot off the roost and then all of a sudden he went quiet. It's like, yeah, because most likely he's tending hens. Don't expect to not have a morning lull. Every single time after fly down, like 30 minutes to an hour after fly down, I always expect 2 to 3 hours of just silence. And this right now is the beginning of that morning silence. Haven't heard a gobble in the last hour. So we are packed up and moving. Just gonna walk this road, and wherever it looks good, give out a few yelps. And we're just gonna go and find the turkeys instead of letting them come find us. We're walking up the road, just turn the corner. There's a big old strutter in the middle of the road. He's not responding, but we're gonna set up. He might come in silent.
One just gobbled up. Nice work, Si.
That's why you be the patience game right there.
Dude, I could see him. Those little trees right there, little gaps. All of a sudden I saw him and he was on a mission. I mean, he was no strutting, no gobbling, just on a mission.
Ooh, that thing is loud.
Did you get the kill shot?
Oh yeah.
My kill is dead. Well, we got kind of a kill shot.
What the heck, dude?
Oh, shoot, skis.
Camera failure. Before we set up on this bird, I put a fresh battery in this camera. And the camera was rolling. I don't know how long it's been dead. But we had this strutter. He was strutting over here about 100 yards. We turned the corner, we saw him. He was just puffed up. And then I was like, Steve, let's just set up. He never gobbled. We just kind of tucked back right here. He was just gonna walk that road, and he never gobbled. He just came in, or Steve basically just saw him walking. Like, he wasn't even puffed up. He was just walking, coming in on a mission. I threw Ava out right there on the road, and he was just walking in. He came into my shooting lane, popped up his head because he saw me, shot him, and he flopped. But this camera is dead. Oh my goodness, man. He's definitely the wonkiest fan turkey I've ever shot. This guy's a fighter. He's lost his feathers over here, his tail feathers. But nonetheless, like I said, despite not having like the biggest beard of all, he's a hefty bird. He's heavier than Steve's bird that Steve shot yesterday. And Steve had a bigger beard and a better fan. But nonetheless, I think today is what I think most hunters, including myself, would deem a difficult day to hunt. I mean, besides the turkeys that gobbled after my gunshot, it's been like what?
Dead.
Like 2 hours? Like, it's been like 2 hours since we heard our last gobble.
Roost, but, you know.
When birds are on a roost, like, you're gonna hear them mourning all the time. It's like, without doubt that you're gonna hear them in the morning. But a lot of these early season gobblers, as soon as they hit the ground, especially the ones with the hens, they hit the ground and they just shut up. Why do they shut up? Because, like I said earlier in the video, they're busy tending their hens. They're breeding their hens. If they already have hens, there's no point for them to keep talking to you when they have better business to do. But aside from flock toms that have hens, even these lone birds, like the one I just shot, they're not talking. I think it's just the mood, man. Last night, it rained for like 2.5 hours of just rain, like legitimate rain. And I think a lot of these birds are they're just not in that mood to like really be fired up. They're cold, they're wet, they're miserable. And so this bird was literally, we were walking on this road. I turn around the corner, I see the fan of a turkey. I look at it, I back up, and I tell Steve, there's a strutter in the road. And he was only up like 150 yards or so. Luckily, right here is this little meadow where we could just like get off the road. So I threw Ava off to the side of the road, and I didn't even put the stake down because it was too rocky for me to put the stake down. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put Ava in a sitting position so that if he sees her, she looks like she's in a breeding position where it'll hopefully entice this tom to come in. We started calling. I called a little bit just to let that tom know that there's a hen over here. But every time I called, he never gobbled back. Like I said, they're just not talking today. And so my first thought was he might just have a hen. But despite him having a hen or not, we're so close that like he's gotta come and look, you know? And so we sat down for like 15 minutes. I think that's what my GoPro said. It was like 15 minutes. Yeah. And Steve's sitting to my right, so he would see the turkey before I do. And Steve's like, dude, he's coming in. And so I get my gun up and I ask Steve, like, is he strutting? And he's like, no, like he's on a mission. Like he's just coming in. He's just walking in. Sure enough, he's just walking in, not strutting at all. Because I think what happened was he was taking his time. And as soon as he looked at my decoy and saw that Ava was in a breeding position, he just came in straight because he was going to mount her. And I knew that I only had a pretty small window to shoot through. Obviously, I don't know if you guys saw because the camera died when I looked at it. But he came in and I was basically going to call to make him stop. But he saw me and he stopped by himself, literally in the spot where I needed him to stop. And he poked his head up, shot, and flopped him. I'm going to go look for his beard.
Yeah, dude.
I broke the green.
You did?
I think so.
Careful, you're better than if you rush him in.
11:22 in the morning. We've been making a lot of mistakes. Partially, it's not our fault because these birds aren't talking. So, the bird that I shot earlier, we walked up on him, set up, he came in silent, shot him. After that, we walked up the road, like 200 yards, saw a turkey in the road again. We set up, nothing came in. Walked another 500 yards. We called, had a gobbler respond on top of us, responded like twice. We set up, he never came in, he just went silent. We looped around up here. We were looking at the ground like, dude, these are fresh strut marks. As soon as I say that, alarm putt right above us, like 30 yards away. Tom's just like looking at us. And I think he had 1 or 2 hens. They just took off the hill. So we got out of the valley. Now we're on a little knob of a ridge. And up here, like I said, when you want to locate turkeys, you always want to be up high. Because when you're high, you can hear turkeys. When you're in a valley, it's harder to hear turkeys. So we got here. I glassed basically in the drainage that we're camped in, across where we're camped at. And I spot a strutter and 2 hens on another logging road. But right now, these birds are not talking. Part of it has to do with the fact that a lot of these toms have hens. The other thing too is I just think today's just not that right weather where it really turns these turkeys on. I mean, aside from the roost this morning, the gobbles have been very far and few between and very inconsistent. So we're gonna hunker down, we're just gonna relax, let the sun kind of warm us up. And hopefully while we sit here, we can pick up a gobbler that starts gobbling on his own. A lot of times the gobblers that start gobbling on their own, they have that purpose of actually trying to find hens. But the ones where you go and strike up, they're not necessarily always in the mood to find a hen. They actually want you to go to them, right? But if a turkey starts going off by himself, like that usually means he's looking for a hen. And those can be a little bit easier to entice in.
For the gram too.
These are the birds we're looking for. Two. he ran his way up onto the road we are on, and then for some reason cut up behind us, gobbled right behind both of us, caught us off guard. He was probably no more than 50 yards at one point. We can hear him drumming and spitting. And he was being stubborn, and we were being stubborn. He really wanted us to go to him, and we wanted him to come down to us. And after a while, I just wanted to give him the silent treatment to see if I could pull him in. But he kind of just worked his way up the ridge. And I think the reason why he didn't want to come down here was because he's going to go roost up there. And so, like, we're kind of out of his path for today. So we're just going to be quiet, leave him alone. Maybe be back in here first light tomorrow. Talk about not hearing anything. That bird made up for all of the quietness today.
That was close.
What the? There's 3 of them.
And there's a tom at 30 yards. At
They're
10
still there.
yards, I
Look at
mean.
them. Were they strutting? Was he strutting?
I can't tell. Was he trying here?
Right there.
Oh no, he's just walking.
Walking up?
Yeah.
Oh, did he see you?
Well, eventually.
So when you said my name, he didn't even see you?
No.
Oh.
No, he was feeding. Oh, I was gonna shoot him full blast. I was. My honor
He
was.
saw me because I was probably walking back.
Yeah.
So Steve and I are working our way back. Camp is right down there. Literally right down there where you can see the white snow, and there was a tom and like 3 hens like right here, 25 yards. And we were gonna go down this ridge to go down to camp. And all of a sudden Steve's like, "Smong, smong." He goes to load the gun and the tom takes off. "6 o'clock, back to camp. It's campfire time, it's dinner time. We're gonna sleep, and tomorrow morning we're gonna pack up, and as we pack up, we'll slowly hunt our way back to the truck. That's all the time that Steve and I have dedicated for this trip. Huh?
Good morning.
Mm. We're walking back to the car. We're close to the car. Turn around a corner. There's a tom in the middle of the road. We're gonna set up behind this mound. Try to get bird number 3. I got my GoPro. You might come in silent.
Holy crap, dude.
Give me a gun, give me a gun, give me a gun. Any other toms?
Dude, she attacked our decoy.
Did she?
Yeah.
Okay, dude. I was laying low. I had no idea how many there were.
Dude, I had no clue. They kept coming,
Dude,
and I was like, oh my
there's
god.
like 10 hens. Oh my gosh.
I thought we're almost at the track.
He worked. Dude, this is the easiest pack out ever. That's the flock tom right there.
20 gauge though?
That 20 gauge smacks. This 20 gauge is 3 for 3. Oh. Oh, he's a
Bro, he
stud.
didn't flop around.
Oh,
He just lights out.
lights out. Folks, this right here is early season hunting. Did you guys see how many hens this guy was with? I only thought he had 2 hens.
Dude, he's heavy.
Turns out he has like a dozen hens. And again, Steve and I are like less than a mile back to the truck. We're packed up. Our packs are full of gear. We're hiking, and it's so funny because we turn this corner and it's only like 100 yards away. And Steve and I are talking like this. And we turn the corner and Steve's like, stop, strut in the road. And I look at him and he's like feeding. He's like semi-strut, he's feeding. So we back up, I throw Ava in the middle, and it turns out she got beat up by a hen.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. And then Steve and I, we kind of just stumbled off the road into this little mound right here. I mean, you guys can see on the GoPro, like we kind of just stuck behind this mound because we knew they were on this road, and it's a tom, and it turns out he had like a dozen hens. We set up for a while, called, nothing really happened, and we can hear him just drumming and spitting across on the other point. And that hen's going off. Yeah. And after a while, I started getting more and more aggressive with my yelps, and finally a hen responded, and I was like, yes, that is all I need. I just need one hen to respond to me. And so the hen starts going off, and we have our first conversation with that hen. I try to be aggressive with her, try to be like, hey, I'm the dominant hen, you should come over and beat me up. And then after a while, like 15 minutes later, nothing really happened. And I was like, I'm gonna give her another aggressive yelp. I yelped, she yelped, and I gave her another yelp and kind of went silent just to draw her attention, like, hey, who does this hen over here think she is? And about 5 minutes later, I was like, Steve, I'm getting cold, man. It was snowing, and I was like, Steve, I'm getting cold. Wearing our t-shirts because we were hiking out. We were all sweaty. And I was like, Steve, I'm getting a little cold, man. And so I peeked.
Laying there in the dirt, like
yeah,
the dirt
and I peek over this little mound through the little trees, and I could see 3 bodies, 2 hens up front, and I could see the strutter behind. But again, I think there was already like more hens that already came past that I didn't see. So I just told Steve, 2 hens in front of the strutter, 2 hens in front of the strutter. Well, it turns out Steve's like, 1 hen, 2 hen, 3 hen, 4 hens, 5 hens. Where's the strutter at? Yeah. I just told Steve, I was like, make sure you have a clear shot. Don't hit any of the hens. And I didn't see anything happen because I was just like this on the ground because I didn't want them to see me. And I just heard a hen putt, and I looked up. There was a hen like 5 yards over here, and boom, gun went off.
Holy crap, dude.
Give me a gun, give me a gun, give me a gun. Any other toms? Dude, this is a gorgeous bird.
Dude, he's such
so right here, you can see all that coloration off the feathers. That red, green, purple, blue. This is often referred to as turkey rainbow. Turkeys are a very pretty bird. And so when you have sunlight, you can see it just gleams or has this gloss over them. And if you look on the wings, it's right here as well. Like, they're a very pretty bird. Turkeys are just awesome. And this is the flock tom. He's a big old bird. He's got a nice beard on him. I would assume that's a 7.5, 8-inch beard. So not the biggest beard, but this guy's heavy. And then this right here is obviously its fan. But where we hunt here, this species of turkey is called Merriam's. And the biggest distinguishing factor between a Merriam's and like a Rio Grande or like an Eastern is just the coloration of their feathers. Of course, gobbles from a Merriam and an Eastern sound different, but when you're looking at them physically, it's these white tips on the tail feathers and right here that give it away that it's a Merriam. If you're hunting like an Eastern species turkey, this will be dark brown, almost like this type of brown right here. And all these tips, instead of white, it would be brown if you're hunting an Eastern. But where we're hunting, it's like a Merriam / Rio. And so this is what these white tips right here are. That's just the characteristics of the Merriam species right there. Gorgeous bird. Back to the truck. Unloaded the packs into the bed of Steve's truck. We are set to get out of here. This was our first turkey hunt for 2023. We're out here for 3 different days, and we shot a bird every single day, and so you can't ever not be grateful when something like that happens, especially ending it with a bang on a flock tom. Steve's best bird to date and his first ever flock tom, so that's pretty cool. And just to have it happen on the way where our packs are full coming back to the truck. On to the next one.